Hello, Doc.
Kuina.
Ya Johnson no pay your tear for you so at Johnson. Now, and Pombo Cordia.
Yamia Daruma cry and kakra.
Very well. Yeah, that's a son of pay what year. So now, you name a few days in it, and what day a new report about Betuja. Report with me who ye no me share the interface no new designs are why ye no very fantastic. And today the kai my more baso ewo home. Now, I mean, you go through the report. Now, the national result out of the data, I will collect it, yeah, and it will graph near there why you know, Emma, an indication, say, in the best case scenario analysis, you know, Kennedy Agyapong is likely to win by some 53.8%. Dr. Bawumia a decline in terms of the figures, even with the best case scenario. Mami Mbisa say what is accounting for sa reporting na I mean Timupobe and a tertiary.
But to report tertiary me realize most of the polls now above on tenor. They all do less than 3,000 delegates for sample size.
Okay.
In fact, Osha be 2,600, which is barely 1.something% of the total registered voters for the delegates. In August, near the first one, about 20,000, and the 20,000 near 10%. And normally, a bus sample size, so which means up to 10% as against 1.something for 4 years now. You come a bit closer to reality. And now, with technical be you use random sampling, and I use different quota sampling. Simple terms, no, and a proportional. Into a considerably different population density. Into A, B, constituency A 1,400, constituency B, 400 delegates. Yeah, the coefficients are 10%, a coefficient of maybe 0.1. Into 0.1 was you multiply into 1,400, a delegate of 140. Maybe be only 400 delegates constituency, maybe 40. Now, this makes the research very representative. In other words, about close to sending a scenario here on the ground.
Okay.
In the worst case scenario, you say the respondents is informed me answer. The decline 2023 in Pacho Otto Wabama.
Okay.
2023, nipa mienu ana na ho. In fact, in Kennedy Agyapong no ka on drop off in car. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. In Tibusum, so 1 out to Wabamano, not Wabuni Panos or Tonabama. Near but 2026, Nyamea Duma, January 31st, man and patch over to Wabaman, no canipo betroman. Then there is a third one. Into o candidates is a warding a and tanta a fanon and a warding is a fanon. All candidates now can find a Uber to Wabama. That is the next best alternative. Into the say instantly now, page number who was to see now, Ubusa for that page 7 on the slide. Into document, no, me were the one I'm more kind the full document in a more presentation, a very easy for screens in any man.
Okay.
Into page 7 of the slides now, Ubon send me the footnote, Asha say. Total of the worst case scenario amount 94%.
Yes.
And at 6%, the undecided and undisclosed now by 100%.
Exactly.
And the undecided, no any undisclosed. Undecided for a year. Or more meaning the beer as I know my confused crowd, you're better now, man. Undisclosed only.
But one can.
A beer.
Okay.
And to the and say, or more no me 12,000. Undecided or undisclosed. No. And it's at 12,000. Yes, sir, you more pop another until you schedule me now yellow.
Okay.
Yes, I do mean now, I could go another data set. And I'm spreading more enumerators and our callers, and I'm spreading more. Say different group of people in some field will be. They are interested be more dream best as the car, the Umbrella. You should the other post now. Hey, dear, post and because undecided, undisclosed, majority best support you. We didn't want to make an assumption.
Okay.
And here they are spread or movie. Name third person, the 21st person was originally now undecided, undisclosed. Yeah, more number will be. Yeah, my second different person, but yeah, my third. So the fourth person. By the time you drew fourth person, yeah, 30% of undecided not responded.
Okay.
40% of the undisclosed now responded. And the entire undisclosed for not responding say, I am not omunya sure ni kabaya offer. I am not unim say a candidate become an
no. Okay.
Or show mobile or better mom no or that so any omujina wa na say neutral for Ankasa. So once they get convinced about it and confidentiality is assured, they open up.
Okay.
And based on that, no, it means the beer undecided and undisclosed in terms of sampling no or mobile. And I did that same percentage, no, about apportion the moment in the best case scenario.
I see.
Now the third variable, no, is the next best alternative. In the best case scenario, now make partial disclaimer. It is an interpretation of data.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, no, if it is the nipane can pepe na wo. The answer sign. But best case scenario now, you have got check undecided and undisclosed, and assume say, umina yo madrin na if no mabano on and yes, 30 14 that you be a portion mark candidates in. Then in the next best alternative, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Dieno, a substance say, now up with a 61% in 2023, I'll do winning primaries now. And he was the flag bearer, and he's the main contender, said you, would be a action vote if you know. But you have a post now about Bontinina, it be no come on 60%, which tells you one particular thing. Every post confirms that his confidence level amongst the delegates is dwindling. And it doesn't matter which post is coming out. None of them gives him about that same 61 now and Pacho, any of them Pacho say. And that is because Dr. Brian Agyapong, for example, was one of his main supporters and financiers in 2023. Sisi Onua did an so abetoho. In Tiaba Eastena, Obe created conflicting support base for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Because Nipa now has a Montuma candidate, Onua so didn't have a now. And also Ebetribi. Over Dr. Yao said Duchuma, or ye BB say B24, Bawumia 24, or ye or Lanchi, and Sanuma or Finance Boashanti. Onua also didn't have a now. For nothing at any constituency near other places. An engineer Kennedy Agyapong so on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia so now. At the end of the day, in the best case scenario, say it here. Fane say nipa 5 ni na no. Ya mo mu na kokwaya to mienu be a pita mienu.
Okay.
And I say in the best case scenario, you say would there be an increase for anybody? And to me, Dr. Evans here, me will true. And I'm patcho assume since mienu, but we are ambitious and to person me cut 3. Many movie akotra obi die true na beba be comedy no ho ma akotre.
Exactly.
When somebody is gaining, somebody has to pay for it.
Somebody will be losing at the same time.
At the same time, because it's the same 100% percentage. In the best case scenario, and yet the best case scenario for the candidates, Debbie.
Okay.
The best case scenario for the contest, where we are assuming an increase. We don't care who is increasing. As long as somebody is gaining or there's a potential for somebody, that is the best case scenario now. Yeah, can it ultimately the and the best case scenario, somebody would lose and some people will gain.
I see. Quite an elaborative one. But what is also intriguing, the regional breakdowns, any figures what to me at the Abba. So in the Ashanti region, by the figures, what it means is that it is most likely, and I say likely, say Kennedy Agyapong ebinya a lot of the vote in the Ashanti region. Me share figures now 15,112 as against Dr. Bawumia 13,788. Yes. Oba Ahafo regional Kennedy enya 1,899. Dr. Bawumia enya 1,809. Bono region, Kennedy 3,702, Dr. Bawumia 3,064 votes. Bono East 3,028 for Kennedy Agyapong, and then Dr. Bawumia 3,477. So what it means is that Dr. Bawumia lead for now in the Bono region. Oba Central region, Kennedy Echimukra.
Page 12, no 2 slides from there. And percentage is not chief on it. Okay. Easy amount.
Okay, so Ashanti, exactly. So I'm on page 12 currently. And Ashanti region, Kennedy Agyapong is doing 42.26%. Then Oba.
Ashanti region now,
yes,
we need 50% because it's keenly contested.
It
is Ashanti region. So everyone can Dr. Yase Duchum and Kawa, and a Dr. Brian Champion Kawa. So vote, no, ka a bianchi between Yama, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And that's a vote in a bit Miyako, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. And what is actually happening with Ashanti region, it is keenly contested.
Okay.
And Dr. Yao or say Duchum from August, who's near September, no, what can mean Ashanti region? And what it means is that, but what check Ashanti region, Dr. Yao said Duchum, or should be briefly, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, or no question, no, let the other side, so called.
But I want to see be a mammy in Ashanti region, no, Osha data, no, Doctor say you Duchum, no, a lot of votes, no, Eddie free Dr. Bawumia, dear
Mahmoud Bawumia.
I see.
Over Eastern region, say, Onua, over Nipa 20, or Master Dr. Brian Agyapong, a more 18 to 19, if you Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and a more 1 or 2. And if you Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, what we saw was to say shatter movements. About Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, most of about 70 to 80% of the base now are purely organic. They don't flinch, they don't switch. Obusa metumaba Emma Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, metumaba Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, almost 70 to 80%.
So almost very emphatic.
Very emphatic. Can street. They don't hold back. Into baby on the new on the schools. No more ABF no more best support Dr. Brian Champion, no best support Dr. Yase no best support Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. But most supporting the data idea about Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, the Ujina no Mudina. Even in Eastern region, no, a big craft switch asaba mekampo.
I see.
In the Eastern region, for example, and now you see now saying 50 MPs and then a year see, you know, you're free, and what you say, the loyalty lines has been drawn. Delegates, no conflicting lines have been drawn. A battle line has been drawn. It's like you have to decide who you are supporting because eventually, no. The UMP have been declared. So, once you be on in the year, Juma, one of your main financiers will originally also say, Hanamid, on Manso Trabano. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Geni Kakra Eastern, or Geni, and Chief Dr. Brian Agyapong, and Honorable Kennedy Agyapong votes, no, Kakra be the town. And now say, Dr. Brian Agyapong and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to Chief Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, better number one. And there's 8,000 for nominal figures now, 8,000 against 7,000, which means that Senyoma Sesa, Dr. Brian Agyapong said to me, Ebejini votes. But Honorable Kennedy Agyapong votes, no, as soon so far, of all the 274 constituencies, 75 near here, there was only one constituency pending votes to take.
Okay.
For the September one. That was one constituency in Greater Accra. Everywhere he occurred in Accra. And now official results in September, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia from our previous post, we have 39.08. And at 39.08 in August, September, we have 39.51. Into occurring about 0.3%. Into broadcasting account a marginal increase. And Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, 41.44, also increased by 3%, which is a significant increase.
Interesting. Now, to wrap it up with you, no, may share the total outcome of the regions. Now, me who said Dr. Bawumia dominated war a year Bono East with some 45.82%. Over a year Northeast, Dr. Bawumia LED with some 86.05%.
Okay. Bono East, Bono Afut, Savannah. And just a second. Even Upper East. The Upper East, I don't want to treat it as strength yet, but 5-1 really, I treat them as strength. Bono, Bono East, Otini Savannah. Between the two of them, no, will be able to make winning, depending on how they go about their campaign. Very strange. Because Bono and Ahafo has switched to Honorable Kennedy Agyapong in September, but it was for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in August.
Okay.
In Tihono, dynamics, no, in terms of degree of change, you know, very volatile. And also be any alcohol, tomorrow.
Now again, concerns, you know, I mean, you know, it be and say earlier on, probably so at the time I'm more survey na Dr. Bawumia and started constituency engagement. Now when the electoral area coordinators, you know, Asia in the respective regions. But as we speak this morning, Dr. Bawumia has started constituency based, campaign. Yeah, Kasei Anope, we are told, sir, he will be in the. Oh, that be unfortunate. Yeah, didn't be back now. Yeah, in the way because question I'm a person me bisa no, and it's Dr. Bawumia has started the constituency by constituency campaign. And the question we are tempted to ask, you know, say all called the doorstep of the delegates. Now all call constituency to constituency, no. Will it have an influence on the figures now? Because earlier on, now were your consultations, now we share champagne for the idea. But to really go down the constituency level, no, not on Sheda and Shasi. I feel na ye kase no what me astate eno enti Dr. Evans Duah na meneno ewie ewo eno no so na I feel ye de nkomodie no etimi esi but agwa me wo hwe figures na wo say Kennedy die no eso ntesa ejina baabi a ejina na
o say o kan be say ono amamfo no mudi na chini ye organic
yes
omo nyesa nkrofo na omo si o na mi wo we yechi na mempe we asem tina ba ha on the near from day one, way in the
okay. My name dog in here. Dog, but you're Otemenka. Yes, so I was asking a particular question. Sir, at the time I saw the way air Kosono, not Dr. Bawumia engagement with electoral area coordinators. Now, say ye kase no wasi for kasa or say or yet dear friend or constituency based campaign. And even as of this morning, we are told say he will be in the Doma East, Doma Central, and then the Bono Enclave constituencies are he going direct to the people at the constituency level, no, or touchy base, no, as it stands now. Can it swift the figures? Any changes are a bit me about at the time we are shall say
100%. There are three factors from research and determine how our patrol in the airport. How our patrol in the could be kind a messenger on patrol in the phone. They're tossing me now, oh, yeah, and candidates in personality. They're tossing me and say, extra candidates in the share. Some your money and Sawi, and they determine as now their performance. And to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in fact, because Onua flag bearer, and they say Akufo-Addo he's already well marketed and all that. Currently, offer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia delegates this season about majority of them a claim. The other candidates, especially the new ones, Dr. Yeltsin, Dr. Brian Champion, I feel no more what I want to do is say, but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, most of them are former or more than that. So they meeting them now would only just affirm which me as the family of Makaka. 100% it can change. But as such, post me, I always make a disclaimer. It's not a prediction of January, it's a snapshot of September. And I can make a call for September. And until your last one, we've decided we want to make sure either they've all completed the national tour and that they've done an 80% of the national tour. They measure the impact to be at all in Timpacho, and until there is a degree of change with worst and best case scenario at such a certain period. the Barcelona between for any of the candidates.
Very well. But again, no, what it means is that the presence of Dr. Oseya Duchum and Dr. Brian Agyapong is not something necessary you did agro because almost making a lot of impact.
First and foremost, September, without the best case scenario, it means none of these candidates crosses the 50+1. And this is not a simple majority. Election with 50+1. So if they don't cross the 50+1, there'll be a runoff, which means that 2 candidates never cross it for that runoff. So as it stands, there is a probable runoff if those gathering momentum don't push to that. But the reasoning here, after September, I said only one candidate can get 50+1 as well. There is a candidate, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, who is at 44. And because the next best alternative, any undecided and undisclosed, it means stretching it could be 53. What it means is that if Obia or Ghana and now, September, there was one candidate which means 50+1. But almost for many campaign here, after September, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia cannot cross 50+1 after September.
Very well. Very well. Doc, quite an extensive work, Moye, and you remember what Baswano pay, but you didn't say Brano, no, you because one in wedding come on. And when should we expect said the next one, no, Ebeba?
Candidates, but it should be December, later second week of January, because they perceive making sure say a minimum of 80%. So now you measure the impact of the atoll. Let's say you must say, I think that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sit from more baby. They perceive making sure say you measure the impact after the atoll. So you be this November, you better train and making sure about 80% of the total net natural. Or you decide delegates to be on the.
Very well, Doc. And
that'll be the final one.
That'll be the final one, right? I don't know by a straight jacket prediction ahead
of that one. I'll make a call, and on I'll make a call and say from this data I have, I think this candidate, and then we wait to see the results on 31st January.
Doc, I'm grateful. Audio FM does.
I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Very well. And Dr. Evans Gia and Yenine D. and Kobono.